tariffs, Trump, and Greenland. That's got everybody buzzing, especially after Davos. Nobody expected the no force to come out of his mouth because everybody expected him to go in there like Daddy Dictator would. But what nobody seems to really be bringing up is China, 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 and the fact that there is a cyber war brewing right now. Chinese hackers targeting U.S. government and political offices using Venezuelan malware. You can't make this stuff up, but the only one that really seemed to care was Reuters. So stick around. We're going to uncover this stuff, talk about some big implications that we could potentially see because of this big news. Make sure you like the video if you're ready for the chaos. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new, and let's jump in. Via Reuters from January 15th, and trying to find traces of this are difficult. A Chinese-linked cyber espionage group targeted U.S. government and policy-related officials with Venezuela-themed phishing emails in the days after the U.S. operation to topple Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, cybersecurity researchers said Thursday. The previously unreported campaign is the latest example of a long-running Chinese cyber espionage group known as Mustang Panda, using headlines or key issues in a given country as a means to steal data and establish footholds in U.S. government entities. Now, the article goes on further to kind of dive into exactly what happened, and I encourage you to look it up because you're not going to hear it anywhere else. This is the only place besides Reuters. But what's really going on? Chinese, they've been involved in cyber warfare forever. They've always been trying to cut the data cords in the Red Sea and cut us off from the rest of the world, threatening to kill the power, kill everything across the country so we've got no access to anything. Kind of like what's happening in Iran right now. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's appalling. But the article goes on further, and at the very end, there's something that really caught my eye. It said
FBI declined to comment.
Now, maybe it's because it's an ongoing investigation. You'd like to give the FBI the benefit of the doubt there, but I don't know how we're really feeling about the FBI's work behind Kash Patel. We just lost Dan Bongino, and old Cashy boy is, who knows? Who knows where he's flying to next on that private jet of his with the taxpayers' money. I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but he hasn't really done anything for us or anything that he said that he was going to do. He hasn't arrested anybody we've been looking for arrests on. People keep skirting around the law. However, they did arrest these three chuckleheads. Now, this was recently that this came out. But 3 people have been arrested in Minnesota church disruption incident, according to the Department of Justice. You have Nakima Armstrong, activist and attorney, one of the ones leading the charge in the front. Chantil Louisa, hope I'm pronouncing that properly. If not, who cares? St. Paul School board member. Really? A board member. Cool. William Kelly, active protester seen around the U.S. He had a lot of nasty things to say, including calling people Nazis. Attorney General Pam Bondi hints that more arrests are coming related to the incident.
But what about Don Lemon?
Did he get arrested? Is he facing felony charges? Let's see.
Can somebody please explain to me why the fuck do we need permission to arrest Don Lemon? I'm trying to understand this right now. Now, who the hell is he? Well, we gotta ask a whole judge where a judge can deny the arrest of him. He a normal citizen, a wannabe journalist. So I'm truly trying to understand, why do we need a judge permission to go after him?
Make it make sense. Make it make sense why you have to get approval to go arrest somebody for breaking the law. So will we physically see anything come of Don Lemon in Minnesota? Probably not. I mean, after you have the Attorney General go on his podcast and basically defend his actions, you already know that the whole entire thing is corrupt. Minnesota as a state is corrupt all the way up into Congress and the House. Best believe that. Here's another one for you. The U.S. magistrate judge who refused to sign off on Don Lemon's arrest warrant, Doug Miko, is married to an assistant attorney general in Minnesota AG, Attorney General Keith Ellison's office. Total conflict of interest. Circumvent him and make the arrest. Minnesota is corrupt beyond belief. I believe that.
These people have come into our house and they've interrupted our worship. This is a house of peace, and we try to proclaim that. And this stirs division and rancor. And in the end, it's not helpful. Ultimately, I believe they've lost. They've emptied a house of worship. Everybody's gone home. The point has been proven worthless. And so, in the end, I think they lose. More importantly, if I was to break into any of their houses uninvited, cause derision and upset according to their values, I would be kicked out.
And it goes on for quite some time. And that's just the way of the world here. We can just waltz in and do whatever we want if we have a minor following. I mean, Don Lemon, who cares? Lock him up. We don't need him out there posting fake news stories and talking about all the other propaganda that's been posted in the news from CNN and MSDNC, or they got bought, so that's not even a thing anymore, I guess. MS Now, NBC, who cares? It's all just a bunch of crap. So's Don Lemon, in case you were wondering. So to get back on track to where this whole thing really was going is in history. In history, we have been under cyber attacks here in the U.S., mostly, if not all, led by China. And if you go back to 2015, you have the OPM. The OPM, yeah, you know me. China stole 21 million documents from the U.S. Secrets of the U.S. in 2015. We'll watch a video here in just a second. But the other piece of the puzzle, and then you have SolarWinds. Total polar opposite, although kind of not. They're all in each other's pockets, I think. China, Venezuela, they've been buddies for a while. Throw Russia in the mix too. They were part of SolarWinds in 2020. Supply chain attacks. And it exposed long-term espionage risks. First, let's check out OPM.
Joining me to talk about cybersecurity is digital forensics investigator for the SANS Institute, Rob Lee. He consults with companies and with the United States government. So, Rob, since you do consulting with the U.S. government, are you as shocked as, say, I am, hearing this remarkable hack of the OPM, the Office of Personnel Management, the HR department for the government?
Hi, Ashley. No, I'm not shocked at all. In fact, these kind of attacks are quite frequent and happen all the time. In fact, the biggest issue is detecting the attacks, and most of the government, including the Fortune 500 in this country, have an incredibly hard time detecting them, and that makes them easy targets for nation-state attackers such as China to take advantage specifically of that lack of capability in cybersecurity.
Is there a scenario here where the toothpaste is out of the tube and thus there is going to be even a bigger problem down the road? And I only ask that because I get these really annoying phishing emails all the time, and I recognize them like that, or so I think I do. But effectively, there's something called spear phishing, where a hacker gets a hold of you and then your identity and then uses you to hack people who you know who would trust you.
That's exactly right. One of the core difficult problems in cybersecurity is the fact that attackers, such as China and other nation states, are taking advantage of ordinary individuals inside the workplace.
And that's the thing. OPM, huge. 21 million documents stolen from our own U.S. government back in 2015. Now, obviously, there's been some time. It's a decade old, right? But it's still relevant because China was implicated by the U.S. I don't necessarily remember the OPM. I remember a lot of text messages and emails telling me to change passwords because there was massive data leaks and data breaches all over the place. They got 21 million documents and just went wild with it. So if they could pull off something like that a decade ago, we are more technologically savvy now than we were a decade ago, especially China. China, they're working on cordless internet. I mean, they're changing the game when it comes to electronics. Just imagine what they could do from a hacker's perspective right now at this moment. Let that sink in. Now we're going to go to 2020, where the SolarWinds is said to be the largest hack ever. What was SolarWinds, you might ask? Take a listen.
Preliminary indications suggest that the scope and scale of this incident are beyond any that we've confronted as a nation, and its implications are significant.
Information technology company SolarWinds was found to be the target of a massive cybersecurity attack in December. The company's Orion software had been compromised, and the breach went undetected for at least 9 months. It had exposed 18,000 computer networks around the world to malicious code. The hackers used a supply chain attack to send a virus into the system, which spread to the company's clients through software updates. That created a way for them to gain access to sensitive data.
Imagine almost a secret door into your house. And the first thing that happens when they come through that secret door is all your keys are right there. They just grab them, and now they can get into any locks you have in your house.
The president of Microsoft called it the largest and most sophisticated attack the world has ever seen.
When we analyzed everything that we saw at Microsoft, we asked ourselves, how many engineers had probably worked on these attacks? And the answer we came to was, well, certainly more than 1,000.
Among those affected by the hack were thousands of private organizations, including tech corporations such as Microsoft, Intel, and Cisco. U.S. government agencies, including the Treasury, Homeland Security, and others were also affected. Cybersecurity analysts say an attack like this could be used to access government data, intelligence reports, employee information, and email accounts. The true scope of the attack is unknown, as analysts are still trying to figure out how much information has been leaked, but they say it could take months to identify which systems were compromised and expel the hackers.
We've never been left with a breach like that before, where we know months into it that we're only looking at the tip of the iceberg.
I mean, look, 9 months, you had access to systems for 9 months. 18,000 client networks that could have gone to how many millions of people? How many millions of people had data that was corrupt, stolen? I don't even know to this day if they've even uncovered all of it. I mean, realistically, 9 months, that's a long time. And to have over 1,000 engineers work on that attack, wow. That is significant. I would agree. It probably was the biggest attack the U.S. has ever seen. Now, the big issue we have is that history shows that when these things happen, massive amounts of data are stolen. And so we have to look and wonder, has the United States learned its lesson over all this time? Have they put the necessary precautions, systems, and measures in place in order to not only protect government data, but to protect your data? Let's talk about that in the comments. That's the hidden cyber threat scoop. Nobody else is really broadcasting it, but I figured it's something that's important because usually when these data leaks happen and they go widespread, it's something that could affect you, and that's important to know about. So hopefully you enjoyed the little history lesson today. Make sure you like the video, subscribe if you're new, and we'll catch you on the next one.